All right, here we go. I am Jackie Terry, and today I have the honor of introducing you to an extraordinary individual, man, Nicole Frank herself. Before we start this interview, though, I want to do a quick introduction about everything you went through. I wrote an introduction. So, she's extraordinary, beautiful person, very good spirit. So Nicole's journey is one that is about resilience, strength, and the spirit of hope. Born in the challenging circumstances on March 11, 1992, she faced poverty and immense responsibilities from a young age. She's been through a lot, a tremendous lot. Yet, through every setback, she has emerged not only for herself, but also her family. Nicole's life took a pivotal turn after high school, during a time when the economy was struggling. Jobs were hard to find. Let's face it, this is around 2010. And she faced repeated rejection, even from places like McDonald's, right? But rather than allowing these obstacles, right, to defeat her, she found strength to push forward, inspired by the sacrifices of her mother, Sherry, a certified nursing assistant. Nicole pursued her passion in the medical field, earning a full ride scholarship to Kansas City, Kansas Community College, which is profound right now because that's where we are right now. Despite the profound loss of her mother in 2020, Nicole transformed her grief into purpose, becoming a registered respiratory therapist and a fierce advocate for her son who suffers from asthma. She literally transformed her grief into purpose. Today, as she strives to be a role model for her children, she teaches them the values of hard work and respect, embodying the spirit of her late mother. Nicole's story is not just about personal triumph. It's not. It's a call to recognize our own resilience in the face of adversity. So, as we begin this interview, I want everybody watching this to let her journey inspire you. And I want to let her journey embrace challenges in your life so you can arrive above these challenges just like Nicole did. Without further ado, everybody, this is the extraordinary interview of Nicole Frank. Hey, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
No, I'm doing good. It was good to have you here. You have accomplished a lot in your life, right? And I would like to say I am very proud of you. Like, you are an inspiration, and it was an honor just presenting that introduction. Like, wow, I'm at a loss for words right now. How special. Thank you for taking your time out your day to do this interview. So, we are going to get right to it, right? So, you were born March 11th, 1992?
Yes, I was.
Right, I like it. So, I was doing my market research on you. I was doing market research, gathering data for this interview. So you faced poverty at a young age and you had a big responsibility. Can you tell me what age did you face poverty on? You know, like what was your particular age range when you faced that particular poverty? And how did it mold you into the person you are today?
So, pretty much, I grew up in a single parent household. My mom, she raised me. My dad lives in Arkansas, so it was pretty much just my mom raising me for the most part. But I watched her struggle for many years as she tried to take care of me and my brother. And she was a CNA for 30 years. And growing up, I wasn't able to afford all the things that all the other kids had. You know, like all the other kids had like Jordans and all the name brand clothing, and that wasn't me. Like, I had to get my stuff from like the thrift store and everything, and which caused me to like get teased a lot. So poverty really impacted me in a negative way, but it's also impacted me in a positive way because it taught me how to work hard for what I really want. And even though my mom was like a really good role model,
yes,
and she worked so hard to make sure that me and my brother had everything that we needed growing up, that gave me the strive to want to do a lot better for myself, so that when I one day grew up to have children, they wouldn't have to experience all the things that I've had to go through.
Yes, and we're going to talk about your children here later in this interview, right? So we talked about poverty, right? And you graduated in 2010?
Yep. F.L. Schlegel High School.
Okay, Schlegel, rep it. Come on, Stallions in the building. We got to spell your stallion in the building. So you graduated in 2010, and we all know during that time we had a great recession, right? The Dow had dropped, and it was at that time it was really hard to find a job, right? And graduating high school, fresh out of high school, I was doing market research on you, and you had a profound quote, and it said you couldn't even get a job at McDonald. So I want you to tell everybody what was it like coming fresh out of high school and going through the recession period, because that was really unexpected around that time, between 2008 and 2010. The world didn't know what to expect. So as a person graduating from high school, as a girl looking for a job, what was your mindset? Like, what was going on through your mind around that time?
So I had plenty of practice to find jobs. I know, like my senior year of high school, in high school I took OJT.
Yes.
And so I had, which is like one of the job training. And so it allowed me to give me the interview tools that I needed to find a job. So, but when I finally got out of high school and I actually went to go try to find a job, nobody would hire me. Like, I would apply for like different like fast food restaurants like McDonald's and Chas Balls and just so many different places. Like, I've applied everywhere, and it was always, you don't have any experience. You don't have any experience. And this was from the time I was like 16 all the way to 18. So finally, when I had graduated and I graduated from high school and I turned 18, I was like, you know what? Like I said, like I had watched my mom struggle for years to take care of me and my brother, but I always admired her because she always loved healthcare, and she made everything look so easy. And I was like, I want to do that. So I ended up enrolling into CNA school, and from there, that's how I got my first job with her.
Okay. So I want to ask you some more questions about rejection, right? Because rejection can be tough, right? rejection itself can lead to new opportunities. And for some, rejection is a dead end, right? And for others, it's a wake-up call. How would you look at rejection? Would you look at rejection as a dead end or a wake-up call?
I would look at rejection as a wake-up call because, yes, as frustrating as it can be, like having just so many doors slammed in your face, and it seems like, will I ever get to the place where I need to be? And you will. It takes years and years. I was in school for 12 years. Changed my major about 5 or 6 times, trying to decide what it was that I really, really wanted to do. And, and like originally I always wanted to be a registered nurse. And that was pretty much what I spent all this time in school for, was to be a registered nurse.
Right.
Because I had already been a CNA for like over 10 years. So, at the time, I wanted to do something different.
Yes.
And I always wanted to be a pediatric nurse. I always wanted to work with children. So, I've faced many adversities, and trials and everything that had hindered me, not stopped, but hindered me from doing that. And so, I just kept going and going and going. And throughout my time, I decided to like just climb the ladder. So I went from being a CNA to a medical assistant. And then in between that time, I got my bachelor's degree in health service management, in which I wanted to be a nursing home administrator.
Okay.
And again, you need experience with that. So even with the bachelor's degree, doors were still being slammed in my face,
Right.
And everything. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna stick to the plan, want to do nursing and everything. So I just continued to do that and everything. Got all my prerequisites done.
Yes.
In between time, I had 3 children.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna get to that. Let me get to that. Okay, no, that was a good answer. That was a good answer, right? And what I got from that was resilience, right? And resilience is the ability to bounce back from adversity, right? And to me, just listen to your story, right? Going to school, deciding different majors, deciding what you really wanted to do, right? You talk about a bounce back game being strong, right? I love it, just that the will to keep going, even when doors are getting slammed in your face, or even when you're indecisive about what you want to do, you're still going, you're still moving forward. Slow motion is better than no motion, right? So you keep the motion going, you keep the flow state going. I definitely respect that about you, right? What is your definition of hope, right? Because hope drives us to overcome challenges. Did you feel like you have to have a certain sense of hope dealing with what you went through? Because I know it can get tough, and a lot of people give up because they don't find hope. Where did you get your hope from?
So I would say I got my hope because growing up, again, like when you're growing up in poverty and you see your family struggle and everything,
Yes.
Generational curses are real. And I always wanted better for myself. I always wanted to do a lot better. I didn't want to struggle like my family did. So that was my hope, was to, not let the struggles of this world condemn me and define who I am as a person. And so, yeah, that was my hope. And so I just stayed the course and did what I was supposed to do,
Yes.
and everything, and studied really hard, and that's how I got to where I am.
Let me ask you this question, right? You talk about hope, and let's face it, hope can sometimes be a double-edged sword, right? It can push us forward, but also hope can somewhat expose our vulnerabilities, right? Is there any time at that moment where you felt vulnerable?
Like, when it comes to
When it comes to just the challenge of going through different majors, right? The challenges of finding different jobs, and right, you know, and being rejected. There has to be some sort of vulnerability because you're putting yourself out there, right? And these doors are getting closed in your face, and then you're constantly thinking about what it is you want to do. You know, it takes a sense of vulnerability for that. Did you ever feel vulnerable going through all these different situations that you went through?
Yeah, I would say I did. I was, like I said, like I spent so many years trying to figure out what it is I wanted to do with my life and everything. And it was real easy to like quit and give up and everything. So that's why I decided to just change my different majors and everything. Because originally, when I first entered into college, my major was pre-med.
Okay.
And I found out that you needed to take trigonometry to be a doctor, and I was like, no. I was like, I'm good on that. But as long as I've been in school and everything, I may as well have been a doctor. So
Yeah, pretty much.
so pretty much, yeah. But yeah, I did find a lot of vulnerability when it came to everything.
Yes.
So yeah, it was really hard and everything. But with my personality and with my hard work and dedication and everything, it's not impossible or anything. And I met a lot of good people along the way through my journey, through my different aspects of different healthcare fields that I've gone through and everything. So it's brought me to here.
Excellent. You came a long way. So we're gonna shift, right? You know, we're gonna shift the topic. I like shifting topics in these interviews, right? So we're gonna talk about inspiration from family, right? And we can't talk about family without mentioning your mother, Sherry, which guys pretty much have a birthday similar, right? She was born March 9th, 1963, and you were born March 11th, 1992. Both Pisces, right? Both similar connections, both similar personalities to a certain extent. Tell me about your mother and how being this close, especially in birthdays, have had an impact on your life, and what was your relationship like with your mother?
So me and my mom, our birthdays are 2 days apart. So ever since I was like a little girl, we've always celebrated our birthdays together. Like, it has always been an honor and a pleasure to even be able to do that and everything. And I got a chance to celebrate 28 good birthdays with my mom before she passed away. She was a really great woman. I got a lot of stuff that I like to do and things that make me who I am as an individual. I got from her. Like, she was very musically inclined. She was a great singer. She was like a songbird. I can't sing like my mom, but that doesn't mean I won't try. I did learn like a lot of different musical aspects, you know, like she did, like sight reading and music theory, and she taught me how to play the keyboard a little bit and everything.
Okay.
So I've even done voice lessons here and there. So yeah, it was a really great experience just learning from my mom and everything. And she never ever let me give up, no matter what, because when I first became a CNA, I wanted to give up. I wanted to just throw in the towel because I had a teacher that was so mean to me.
Oh, wow.
Like, she was just so mean to me. And it was like, she had something against young people because it was me and this other girl in the class. And she was always so rude to us. Like, when we had to like make beds, she'd snatch it off. She'd snatch the sheets off and say, do it again. So, and everything. And I told my mom, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I'm ready to quit and everything. And she was like, no, I'm not going to let you quit and everything. So, and she worked with me, and because of her, that's how I became a CNA.
I like that. And my research is saying your mom was a certified nursing assistant, right? And you had a very profound quote when I was doing data research on your Facebook. Doing these interviews, I love to do the research. It's always good to know more. It's always good to know about your subject before you interview them. So you had a very profound quote, and I want to say this quote to you. You mind if I say this quote to you? Because this is powerful, and it really caught my attention. And this quote said, "I'm only here because I had a mother who believed in me." How deep does that quote resonate within yourself?
It resonates very deeply, again, because that quote and that saying really is true. All of my achievements and all of my accomplishments I have today was because of the fact that I had a mom who believed in me, but when I didn't believe in myself. And I think that that's very important for any child to have, is to have a supporting parent.
Man, that is facts. I can tell just by the passion in your voice that you love your mother very much. And today, 2025, right? You're really extremely proud of the person you have become. It's always imperative that we honor our mothers for their sacrifices, right? And because we gotta look at it this way, the impact they had on our lives, right, actually shaped our characters. So God bless Sherry and God bless Nicole. So we're gonna shift, right? After 2 years as a CNA, your life took a turn because you actually became a mother yourself. Tell me what that experience was like. You actually becoming a mother yourself, and then you also having a mother, like she was grandma now, right? So what was it like actually stepping into your mother's shoes and actually becoming a mother yourself?
Oh my goodness. So when I first became a mom, I had my daughter in 2013, and I was so nervous. I can remember the first day, the day that I had her, the day of my induction, and I was like, I couldn't even sleep, and I was just praying and asking God to just let me be a really good mother, and and just instill in me everything that I need to in order to be the best mother that I can be, and everything. And my mom was always so supportive. I can remember when I first told her I was pregnant, I was so scared. I was like, 'cause my mom didn't play that, and she was like, "Don't you ever get pregnant? Don't you ever get pregnant?" And I had, so when I had my daughter at 21, and everything, she was actually really happy. Like, she was really happy, and she was happy to be a grandmother. And when I first had my daughter, I ended up moving back home for a little bit, and everything, because being a mother had its struggles.
Yes.
And she was, whatever my daughter cried, she was always right there. Like, she got up way before I did. She was like, this is her baby. So yeah, like she always was there to help me and everything. And one thing she always took pride in was being a grandmother to her grandchildren. And so yeah.
And that is beautiful. That is beautiful. No, I want to ask you this question, right? Then I'll share my personal story with you too. So, while some people may idolize their parents, right? Others feel suffocated by expectations, right? Was there ever a time you felt like you've been pushed a little bit too hard by your mother or influencer around you, like parents or other people?
Yeah, so growing up, I was always the good girl. I was raised in the church all the time. When the doors swung open, I was always at church. So I was always held to a certain standard and everything. Though I had friends that I idolized, that I looked up to, and I was like, I want to do what they do, and they did all the devious stuff and everything, and my mama didn't play none of that stuff, so I was like, I can't do that. I grew up very sheltered. All thing I was allowed to do was go to church and come home. Like, it was one like a couple friends that she would let me go hang out with, and even with that, it was still kind of like, yeah, like they parents had to pretty much go and ask my mom, because a lot of times she would say no. She didn't care who you was. She still gonna say no and everything. So yeah, like yeah. So I would say yeah. I always was held to like a high standard, and it was like. Because I had been taking care of my mom since I was like 8, because my mom had fell sick. She had became a diabetic that I could remember around the time I was like 8 years old. And I had an older brother that has a mental disability and everything. And so even though I was the youngest one, in the family and everything, I always felt like it was like my duty, like I had to take care of my mom and my brother. And I felt like all of that caused me to also want to do a lot better, but at the same time, it was so much pressure put on me and everything, because I'm like, okay, when is my life gonna start? You know, like, I don't want to just spend the rest of my life to take care of my mom. Even though my mom never forced me to take care of her or anything like that. I just felt like, you know, if I didn't, nobody else was going to. So, also, after I graduated from high school, I had decided that I was going to enlist into the military and everything. And my mom signed my papers when I was 17 years old. Only thing that stopped me was because I had made it all the way to the MEPS station and everything, and I had did everything. Only thing that stopped me was my job was booked up for a year and a half, and they asked me, and I had just scored high enough on the ASVAB to get into the Army, and I was not about to take that test again, and I said, nope, no thank you. That is how I did not, that's how I didn't go to the military. But even within, I made the decision to want to go to the military because I was like, okay, I need to be able to take care of my mom and my brother. Nobody's going to take care of them but me.
Big responsibility. So, big responsibility on your part. We're going to shift, right? And we're going to talk about the impact of loss, which is really deep. Because on August 5th, 2020, your mother passed away. And the pain of loss of a parent is something unbearable. Like, it can hit you so hard. I lost my dad in 2016. I didn't realize how hard it hit me until he was actually gone. August 5th, 2020. What were your exact feelings when you lost your mom and she? On the way to another world, what was your feeling? What was going on through your mind?
I still remember that day like it was yesterday. I had a lot of mixed emotions. Like, I knew her time was coming, so I was already preparing myself. But you can never really fully prepare to lose a parent.
Yeah.
And I can remember the day she passed away. I had like the biggest headache ever. And my kids, they were at daycare, and I was at home cleaning up and everything. And the DON of the facility had called me and he was like, "Hey, Tanisha," because that's my real name is Tanisha. So he said, he was like, "Hey, Tanisha, how are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm doing good. How are you?" He was like, "I'm okay." And that's the sound of his voice was like, I was just like, she passed away, didn't she?
Oh man, you already knew it.
I had already known.
Damn.
And it didn't really hit me until I called my brother, because I was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And he was on the bus getting ready to head to go see her. And during COVID, he was only able to like look at her through the window and everything like that. I was her power of attorney, so I was able to like go inside and see her. Around that time, families weren't really able to go in and really sit down with their families and stuff like that unless something was like really bad about to happen. And so he was on his way to go do his normal visit and everything, and I was like, "You don't know, do you?" And he was like, "You know what?" I was like, "Mama passed away. Like, she just died." And like, all of a sudden, I just heard him say in the background, "My mama died. My mama died. My mama just died." And I just broke down.
That's deep.
Because I was like, because my brother, because like I said earlier, like my brother, you know, he suffers from mental disabilities and everything, and that was all he really had, you know, like
right.
She was all both of us had growing up, you know. And so it was like, what do you do when the person that raised you like the whole time is gone? And it just feels like it just missing your parent, just losing your parent. It just makes it feel like you're walking around earth with no direction and no instruction. And I just had to like live the rest of my life without her and everything. I lost her when I was 28 years old. I'm 32 years old now, and I have the rest of my lifetime to go.
Right. Man, that's so deep. You had a quote that you said, right? And you said, "I never thought about life without her," right? And that's so deep, right? We think of our parents as these superheroes, right? They can't be weakened. You know, they're so powerful, like, in our eyes, right? And when they're gone, it's like, man, what is this? It's a tough feeling. What I wanted to ask you is, how do we carry the legacies of our parents when we lost them? What do we gotta do?
So you just hang on to everything that they taught you. And it's crazy because every little thing that she's ever taught me growing up and everything, I always hear her voice in my head. Like whenever I'm doing something I'm not supposed to be doing, I always hear Sherry Lynn in my head.
Yeah.
And I always keep her near and dear to my heart, always. So yeah, I would say yeah, that's
I mean, how did you cope with it though? Like, were there any coping mechanisms that you had from losing a parent? Because at times, you know, it can threaten our own well-being and it could drown us. Some of us get lost in depression. You know, I have many friends that lost parents and they have gotten lost in depression, drinking, and different vices and coping mechanisms. Did you have any coping mechanisms that you did? I mean, this doesn't have to be a drug or anything like that. It could be just reading, it could be going to school, or it could be, did you have something going on to take your mind off of this?
So holidays are like really hard for me, and so I find myself isolating myself a lot. Around holidays and around my birthday, I always try to isolate myself, or I try to keep myself really, really busy. You know, I try to do stuff for other people. I was in school until 2023. Like I said, I stayed in school for over 12 years. So I was always with stuff, always like tending to my kids, like just trying to keep myself busy so I don't have to think about it. And that can be also a toxic mindset as well, because you can't fully heal from something if you don't go through it, or you don't admit that you have a problem and an issue and everything. And so my coping mechanisms was just isolation and everything, and just making myself so busy to the point where I didn't really have to think about it. And you never, like I said before, like you never really fully get over losing a parent and everything. I feel like it does get easier as time progresses, but it's like I could be riding in the car and I can hear one of her favorite songs, or I can just think of like a memory of her, and it just automatically just puts me in depression mode and everything. So I try not to think of that stuff or anything like that, but I always try to like think of like all the good times that I had with her and everything, and
yes.
that's what gets me through.
Wow, powerful. I feel that. I feel the same way. Just think about the good times. One thing about parents is legacy is energy, right? And you think about the energy. You think about that energy lasting forever, and it lasts forever with everything they taught us, right? So we essentially spread that to the kids. So their energy will never go away, because now we're transmuting that energy to other people from what we learned from our parents. What I wanted to ask you now, we go into the element of new beginnings, right? How did you transform the loss of your mother, right? I will put it this way, grief into purpose. How did you do that?
Like, can you explain a little bit?
Okay, I can explain. So, when we talk about grief, right? You know, I'll use me as an example. I cannot really see my son on the regular like that, right? You know, and there's a lot of grief. I could be stuck in that grief, and I could complain all the time. And they say when you complain, you're actually praying to the devil, right? But when you show gratitude, you're praying to God. So my grief, I turned into purpose, and I turned it into this whole media production company where I can put myself out there, I can interview wonderful people like you, I can build a legacy that he can see, right? And that's my purpose. Him letting my son get into know who I am through this media production, what type of person I am. And with technology, I'm able to make that happen, and God has blessed me with that. And I was able to turn my grief into a full purpose that's even bigger than me now. It's God's work now, right? It is God's work. All glory to God. All gratitude to God. So how were you able to turn your grief into the purpose that you have now? Because I see you have transformed, right, into a strong, amazing, black, beautiful, chocolate, sexy woman. Ooh, wee, don't get me started, girl.
So, I feel like, okay, so I transformed. So throughout my life, and everything, and through different obstacles that have transpired and everything, God has placed different people in my life that has introduced me to like people and new things and everything. And well, one of those people I met was Mr. Jackie Terry, and his great friends and family, and all of his support system, just all the people that I've met along the way and everything to help me to get to this point. I never thought in a million years I would ever have my own brand, Alter Egos Productions.
Yeah.
just being able to just meet different people and me being able to step out of my comfort zone and being able to just be a different person. And that's where Nicole Frank comes in at. And that's how I got to my alter ego productions, because it's like, all my life I've been the good girl, and now I'm transforming into this woman, and being able to just step out and just not be conformed to the things that people want me to be, but being what I want to be for myself. And the kind of woman that I want for myself, and the kind of woman and mother that I want my kids to see me as.
That's facts. That's facts. Beautiful answer. As we talk about your kids, you had another wonderful quote, right? Like I said, I was doing data research on your Facebook, so I was gathering up all the data, right? And you said a quote that said, "I want to teach my daughter that she is worth far more than rubies." What does that mean?
I want to teach my daughter that she is worth, she's worth so much, and she's a jewel, and she is a princess, and she should treat herself as such. I want her, there was many times in life where I didn't know my worth, and I made a lot of mistakes along the way, and that's why I feel like God blesses you with kids to be able to teach them differently than how you grew up and everything. And so I want to teach my daughter that she is a jewel and she's precious, and anything that she puts her mind to, she can do it. And I just want her to just know the type of person that she is, so that this world can't tell her anything.
I like that. So we are reaching a closing to this interview, right? Great job. I learned very valuable insight about your story, and I can't wait to edit this and show this to the world. But you have an amazing story of hope and resilience, and I love it, right? Very inspirational person. Are there any closing statements you would like to add to the audience, like you would like to talk to the audience personally before we end this interview? I'm impressed.
I just want to say thank you everyone for tuning in and watching this interview. And I just want to say that if there are any young women out there who are still trying to figure it out, still trying to figure out what it is that they want to do with their lives, don't give up. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, and you are responsible for how your life turns out. There's gonna be many doors gonna slam in your face and everything, but you just have to keep pushing through and everything, and know that you will make it, regardless whether or not you have kids or no kids. You can still do it. The sky is the limit. Just keep pushing for your dreams, and you can do anything. I went from being a CNA to a respiratory therapist, and it was hard work, but I finally made it. I still have a ways to go because it's still hard out here, but I look at where I came from and I look at where I am today, and God really has blessed me in so many different ways. And so all of the bad things that have happened, I look at them as the good and everything. I remember there was a song that my mom used to sing growing up in the church. It was called "For My Good" by Dottie Peoples, and it's everything that has happened in my life has been for my own good. And I'm gonna say this last thing, and I'm gonna be quiet.
No, keep talking. This is interesting.
And
One
of the last things that I also remember too about my mom is that so when she passed away, it was a song that she used to always sing as I was growing up, and it was called "I Won't Complain." And I knew the type of person that she was, and she had a hard life and everything like that, and she just always pushed through. And so when she passed away, I was like, who's gonna sing this song for her? You know, I have to have this song, like I have to send her off right. And I couldn't find out one person to sing that song. And so I had to do it. So I sang that song for her at her funeral and everything. And that song has really been like the highlight of my life ever since then, because it's like, no matter what it is that I go through, I can't complain, and I won't complain, because I know what it's like to hit rock bottom, and I know that there's nowhere else to go but up. And so at the end of the day, God has me, and He's gonna have me too. Just keep pushing.